You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Very exciting show tonight. I have the co-sponsor of Bill 215-32, actually. That's the medicinal use of marijuana that had its first public hearing, I think it was last week, and will have its second public hearing on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's next week at 5:30 in the Legislative Public Hearing Room. And the author is supposed to be with us tonight, but she's entertaining, of course, the folks from APIL softball game tonight. So we again, are very fortunate to have a co-sponsor of the bill is, of course, Senator Aline Yamashita. Good evening.
Good evening. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, and belated Happy Thanksgiving, and, of course, New Year. Hopefully I'll talk to you before then. You are a co-sponsor for 215-32. I was able to watch not only the resolution, I don't think you were a sponsor of that resolution.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. But, of course, as a sponsor, I watched the first public hearing that you guys had. I'm glad that you put people in track, not to sway off to something else, because as we talked about in my radio show, and if this were recreational use, I don't think sponsors or even co-sponsor would be a part of this at this point.
That's right. That's right. So, from the get-go, we need to make it clear that this is about medicinal use. It's not about recreational use. And so that's what the conversation needs to be about. And if we're going to talk about research and reports and studies and anecdotes, it needs to be focused upon families who decide that this is an option to help them deal with their illness, to make the best of their life, the best quality of life. And that's what this is about, is to give families that type of option. It has nothing to do with recreational use. I've had some people say that that's what I'm trying to do, but that's not at all. And as we know, it is for Mr. Conception and Casey, for him, in honor of what he went through and what his family continues to teach us. I was very moved by his dad and his wife at the public hearing last week, and that really told the story that, somebody who was really sick, who knew death was around the corner, found the courage to live the rest of his life in an honorable, gracious way, and it was cannabis that helped him get appetite, helped him sleep a little bit better, helped him take road trips with his family, helped his family know that life was precious, and that's going to be what they hopefully will remember. And of course, it's still really painful. But that story was real, and it's one of us. And there's countless others. Countless others.
Watching my parents die as well, both of cancer. My mom, of course, with colon cancer. My dad of lung cancer. And believe me, in watching their deaths, most especially my dad, in the sense that who had not only had surgery, but both chemo and radiation, and the effects of that. I mean, if at that time I would have known, this would have helped relieve his nausea, his just sense of not being himself and all that. I would have done whatever I could have. I mean, that was the time that, of course, I was looking at other options as well. That that was back very early 80s. And so a lot of things have progressed, but a lot of things were still experimental as well. We've come a long ways in regards to cancer care and cancer treatment. And of course, in regards to some of the other alternative antidotes, I guess, if you can call them that. And so, it used to be years back that, we knew the families that were afflicted with cancer. But nowadays, I think every family has a member or two that has passed or currently, undergoing treatment because of cancer. So it's a big thing. Now, again, in regards to the medicinal use, and I want to get to the bill in itself, as a co-sponsor with this. And again, I totally totally support the medicinal use. Recreational use will be a different argument.
Right.
You need to convince me, and you need to tell me that the medicinal side has worked and the infrastructure of the medicinal side has worked,
right,
in order to try to convince me to even look and even entertain the recreational side. So I'm not there, okay?
Right.
I'm long from being there. But in reading the 12-page bill on medicinal marijuana here, my concerns, I got great concerns, and again, this is, I'm looking at it, if I was in the legislature, how would I vote? How would I amend? Mm-hmm. And what would I do? How would I go about it? And believe me, I'm looking at this, I'm going, whew, I'm not a proponent of a bigger government, okay? You know that. I'm not a proponent, or I rarely believe when government entity says we don't have the staff, we don't have the money. In this case, I can actually say that this is an expertise. This is a regulatory agency that is going to have an expertise. And likewise, you have federal law that trumps local law. And I don't know anybody at public health, because public health really is tasked as the boss, basically, yes, of this. And today, even with the director, I don't think the director, even the deputy director, can say, I can identify people here that can write the rules and regs for medicinal marijuana.
However, well, first, as far as the advisory council goes, the director will get recommendations from the board examiners,
mm-hmm. Medical
board examiners, right?
Yeah.
And so those folks know who's actually certified in the different, there would be 7 members to this board, and so the expertise will be oncology, mm-hmm. Pain management, infectious disease, family practice, neurology, psychiatry, and mm-hmm. then one is a member at large of our community. And so that would come from the group who does the examinations to know that they're certified. I will agree that it might be challenging finding mm-hmm. the professionals mm-hmm. to step up. But as far as developing and promulgating the rules and regs, I have every faith that that director and his deputy would be able to put together a group of people to do their research, to do their studies, and to come up with a process to best determine what those look like. So I agree with you that the expertise is needed to make this do what we want it to do, but I do believe that they'd be able to facilitate that process. They won't have that expertise themselves, but I do believe that Jim Gillen is very capable in knowing how to draw in the people that need to be at that table. Now, identifying the people is one thing, getting them to come to the table and stay at the table is another.
Well, and that's again where the problem lies. And in my regard, in looking this, and I'm going, this is an endeavor. This is a full-time thing. This is not just something that I'm going to take care of part-time. This is a full-time situation here. Now, if Mr. Gillian were to call the AG's office or whatever law entity that he may call, or whatever entities that he thinks will have the expertise, and I'm sure he's going to try to pool his resources, they're going to say, well, wait a minute, because I'm not mandated doing this, and I'm busy prosecuting this mm-hmm. entity here, and I can give you some time, but I cannot commit to a constant meeting within this time frame and to be able to give you this information. So, and that's what I'm saying in regards to going back to the lack of funding, because I'm looking at this and I'm trying to be conservative with this thing. I'm looking like this probably will take probably about $500,000, maybe $1 million to get the expertise in there. I mean, because you have contrary laws, right? You have federal laws that trumps local law. And although the Obama administration has kind of eased up in certain things, there are still enforcers out there, and they still enforce the laws based on what they're given. Okay, they don't do their job, then they're derelict of their duties as well. So in that, it's hard to write something where you have 2 conflicting laws, mm-hmm. and how to write rules and regs to just accommodate your local law, when your entity, when a lot of your funding comes from federal funds.
All right.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to pay some bills, come back now, and we'll talk more about medicinal use of marijuana. Be right back.
This program is